Hello, my name is Michael Berger, and I have an associate's degree in mechanical engineering and a bachelor's degree in digital science. I have a certificate in AutoCAD and cybersecurity. I worked as a student IT assistant at the University of Akron, a math tutor at Stark State College, SMT operator at Airborne Electronics, and as a student team leader at Kent State University in the Federated Desktop Support Department.
And my name is Gregory Hess. I have a bachelor's degree in digital sciences from Kent State University. I have a Test Style Security Pro certification, as well as numerous certifications through LinkedIn courses. I've held numerous IT positions in end user support across Kent State, Beechwood Systems, and Northeast Ohio, and in my local area, in local town of Northeast Ohio, as I reside. And I'm en route to a rotational in Brooklyn, Ohio, this coming summer. As of February of 2023, I reside at a business analyst position in my current company in a bank in the Ohio area. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the TechIT podcast. We got a jam-packed episode for you today. We're going to see if we can get through to you in the best way possible. It is September 2nd of 2023. Hope everyone's having a good fall so far and had a good summer that has previously ended. And before we get things started here, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Greg. How are you doing?
I've been pretty good. First week done in my new role at KeyBank. Or at my bank, excuse me, but it's been good though. With getting to know the environments, the systems that I won't mention on here. But it's been real good though, with the situations that I can see and the opportunities that can come from it. And speaking of opportunities, let's talk about the deep subject of AI generation. Now, Mike, have you used an AI generator for art or anything?
I actually have.
Okay.
I have tried to there's all these apps. Like when you're using other apps, like you get those ads for other apps, or if you're watching YouTube or whatever, you get those ads for apps. And they're like, oh, you can generate this and this art. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool to try. Like I don't know what I would use it for. I'm sure I could find a purpose for it. But yeah, I've typed in some stuff. I wanted to see what it could do. But yeah, it's still. I think it still has a long way to go. Because I think I don't know if the one I use is just not up to snuff, but it in my mind it didn't live up to what I wanted it to, or maybe that's just maybe I'm not the best at prompting yet. I was still new to AI at that point. It was one of the newer ones at the time, and AI wasn't fully realized. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I really like what you can do with it.
Yeah. It's all about use and then some, but for me, I only used it a couple times based on curiosity. Like, there's one that I've heard that's been popping off called Midjourney that you can add just here on Discord or on your Discord application, be it your phone or your laptop or what have you. And much like these other generation apps, like this creativity machine we're talking about in this article here, or Midjourney, you just simply type in a prompt like, oh, a cow jumping over the moon in the fall season, and it will make that picture after like taking some time to process it all. After taking in what it's learned, it'll then generate an image, or in Midjourney's case, it'll create 9 of them, and you get to pick one to pick and download for yourself. But get deeper into this matter, how much like it is with a lot of things, copyright comes into play when it comes to ownership of anything related to art, be it music, video related, visual media, or in this case, AI generated art. So this story is covered on The Verge. If you want to follow along here with us, is under by Wes Davis, which is going over a story about a United States District Court judge named Beryl Howell ruling on Friday that AI generated artwork can't be copyrighted. As she presided over the court as it refutes copyright on Stephen Tyler's art for an AI generated image made with Creativity Machine algorithm that he made. Which comes to the question with what we can use with this art. As well as if you can't copyright it, so many people can take it.
My big question is, where is all this coming from? Because I'm assuming that the AI is just reaching out to the internet, putting in those keywords, and coming up with pictures, and just kind of like collaging them together, or taking inspiration from those other pictures out there. So, especially if those other pictures are already copyrighted, I would assume that anything made by the AI can't be copyrighted because those pictures already have a copyright on them. So I think that's what we need to look at going forward. And if you think of copyright, that's protecting someone's personal property, right? So if you, for example, if you had wrote a book or something like that, then if someone goes out there and tries to write the same book, then they're in trouble, right? If you've copyrighted that book, they're in trouble. So this is kind of what like AI is doing. And how do we hold AI accountable and people that use AI accountable for copying others?
Yeah, and then some, because art isn't exactly in the highest esteem these days in terms of commerciality or commercialized media like we have today with movies, music, and basically anything with video right now. But art is still prevalent with museums still in the major cities and even lesser cities that still have a community that is passionate for the art. Because I looked into some background on this, and this goes back to the 90s, which was made by this Stephen Thaler under his Imagination Engines Incorporated. Which, that's how old this is, technically. The 90s, which is the best I can get here from daysdigital.com. But it has been targeted, much like a lot of things, with the word AI stamped onto it. But it goes to show with the passage of time how something like this can be built up, as well as an artist, at least in the mind of Dr. Stephen Thaler's case, about how I want everything to be distinct and mine. Which I don't know how that comes to play with modern art pieces that are very sublime with what they're putting off, like these like just simple shapes on like a canvas. I imagine it's pretty hard, as well as finding out which copyright office to bring this up to, or if you have to create a new one for AI generated art and how it can't sit with the other regular painted artworks. It's messy. As looking down here in this Days Digital piece, Thaler then initially tried to register this original piece in his mind that he made in 2012 with the Copyright Office back in 2018, as he said it was autonomously created by a computer algorithm running on a machine. But unfortunately, it did not work out in that event, where the office was then denying the application by August of 2019 due to it not fitting the human authorship necessary to support a copyright claim. Hence, because it's AI made it, not Thaler didn't make it with his hands. It was an AI that made it. So that's how it sits with last time this individual went up to the Copyright Office to try to do something about it. But conversation continues on what this means for a lot of things, even as far back as recently with the NFTs and how you ownership of that besides the blockchain. Without the blockchain for the NFTs, how do you say, oh, this one's mine? No one else's. This is mine. Because there's still more court cases piling up where this thing just gets more compounded and compounded, and it kind of hurts your head when you look at it. Like, what is this? Sarah Silverman and even 2 other authors are filing a lawsuit against Meta and OpenAI for their malicious data scraping practices, which they're alleging is across Microsoft, OpenAI, and GitHub, filing some software piracy laws. So that's a whole nother mess. But Mike, do you have anything more to say about this?
Not really. I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on for the future, and just to see how we can protect our creations. And I think also if like I went into like a museum, I would want to know if this artwork is procedurally generated or if someone actually put some thought into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there should be a stamp to say. Well, I wonder if that's fair. To put like a stamp on it saying this is generative AI. Because every piece of art has like the person who wrote it or painted it on it.
Right.
So you're gonna have to put this was made by Midjourney, or this was made by I forgot the name of the creativity machine. So it'll be a while before I see more of these at museums. Besides the one time I went to the Guggenheim and I saw a live canvas projected onto a wall that had a bunch of GIFs on it. And frankly, it looks like a mess. It looked like a mess when I saw it back when I went to New York with my family. But it's an original piece, and it had an author on it. So this guy made it with a bunch of GIF files. So that was back in before the mid 2010s. So it'll be something to see where they go with this, as we'll keep an eye on how far this goes. But from AI generated art to AI models and meta. Now, in the world of language, big data language learning models, Meta has thrown in their hat finally for what they want with this AI model for transcribing text. And according to this TechCrunch piece, it can transcribe close to 100 languages across text and speech, as a significant breakthrough, in quotes, for the field of AI-powered speech-to-speech. Which, granted, the commercialized version of this was Siri saying, oh yes, I know where the nearest coffee shop is. But now, full-on translation and recognition of what you're saying. Full transcribing, and then some. What do you think about this, Mike?
So I think this brings us closer to real-time translation for this AI model that can transcribe all these languages. I think this is good. This really opens up the world for travel, living in other countries. Maybe you don't speak the language. Working in other countries, working with people that maybe you own you're a shop owner, and people that don't speak the language come in frequently. You just want to be able to get them what they need. I think this is a good step in the right direction.
Because I feel like it is a good direction for that side of things. I mean, this article points at some hiccups that might show up with the background data for this having to be scrutinized for how this came to be. The name of this tool, by the way, is called Seamless M4T, as the public demo is, I believe, going to be live soon, or probably by the time this goes live here today. But this will at least remedy some AI mistranslations, as it puts here at the end, such as police confronting a Kurdish man for financing terrorism because of a mistranslated text message that he put, where he held his phone on Siri and said, "Please do this," and they thought it was connected to financing terrorism activity. So that's pretty bad. As well as a time in 2017, supposedly, where a cop in Kansas used Google Translate to talk to a Spanish speaker who he pulled over. They can search the car, but the translation was incorrect, and then the case was thrown out because of just that instance of, I mistranslated this. Time will tell with how well this model will go in terms of live public testing and when that beta should arise for people to actually use this. And it's not just stakeholders. They get to see this at panels that the public is allowed to fully cover. As they are making some steps to fix some issues, such as the constant problem with AI is always, is there bias in this? Where it leans towards more things over others. Which, to me, I understand the idea of bias, but have you seen that, Mike? The show with AI and bias.
Is this a video you're talking about?
Well, it's not a video. It's more an issue I've seen with AI since I started looking more into it last year and the year before, where it will say, and it will have ChatGPT, and it will say the AI is skewed towards this certain result. So it'll of course say this result. Because AI has to be built up by something, and sometimes, like ChatGPT, it has to scrape up public data, like internet search results, articles, many articles and stuff, public available information.
What you're saying is it's based on results written by human, so all humans already have bias, so there's already bias worked into its data sets.
So people that are, for the sake of time, left-leaning politically think it has a structured bias towards people with certain experiences, mostly male and white, towards that perspective of things, that perspective of the data. So I don't exactly know how you solve that problem when the data that they have to grab is already out there. Unless you can create more data from more distinct voices, that's no problem, but
it just means that that's going to need more data points to be more fair.
More data. You have to need more data, which means more work, which means this gets put off. And as a realist at heart here, I really doubt next to half of these AI companies care. Because they just want everything to be pushed out so that people can do it. Like how people are alleging even that Sam Altman from ChatGPT put the app out purposely on a weaker level so that people can test it at the weaker state. So that he can work on it still in the shadows. Which I don't believe that really, but that's a larger conversation for how that can be fixed. Bias from data that the AI and the companies and engineers that are in these AI companies have to clean up and basically shove into this AI's cerebral cortex, so to speak, for processing everything and putting out information. So we'll keep a look on this story more and more as we go on here again with how this AI model goes. But in the weird turn of events here, we go from AI to Apple here, and it is a weird headline here. Apple supporting right to repair bills. After we covered months back where they denied right to repair in New York. What's your response to this, Mike?
Well, I was surprised to see this article. I always have, I've always seen Apple leaning more towards the money grab, as in how can we make our customers pay more to repair our phones. What I've seen from a lot of repair, like there's a bunch of people that do repairs on YouTube, and they kind of go through like, oh, this is how you repair this and this. Um, and these are like licensed Apple places. They'll say, well, we're licensed to do less and less, and then there are people that are from what I've watched, there are non-licensed companies that are like, oh yeah, we'll do that. So
Yeah.
people are already moving from these licensed Apple repair places to non-licensed ones because they just won't. Apple companies won't do it, and and we know that's probably because Apple's like, hey, just buy a new phone, and we're just filling up the landfills with the old one, right?
Oh yeah, you show up with a battery issue, they'll just say, well, you know what has a better battery? The iPhone 14.
Exactly.
And you walk in with like an 8.
So it's good to
And
see
like,
that
oh,
they're
no.
actually. It's good to see that they're actually working towards the right to repair for Apple products. And
Yeah.
the thing is, there's already a huge, um, well, not I wouldn't say huge, but there's already um a lack of experience for repairing Apple products because all the Apple products are not modular. Like you can't easily be like, oh, I need this part and just switch it out. A lot of stuff is hard soldered in, so
Yeah.
you do have to open it up and whip out the soldering gun and get out the new solder when you want to solder parts back in. So um, it, it's good. It's also challenging to make sure that people that are doing this are properly trained and not damaging the product so that eventually it goes to a landfill anyway because you damaged it beyond repair. But you also want to encourage safety for
Yeah.
these people that are first timers repairing their product. Um, but I think it is. I think it's a step in the right direction. There's knowledge out
No
there for
doubt.
people that are learning to do this, um, and it's good to see that Apple's on board, and hopefully a lot of other companies follow suit with saying, "Oh yeah, Apple's on board, and they're the huge money back grab company. Maybe they shows some promise in doing this with our products as well, so that we can compete."
Yeah, that's why that was my simple reaction to this was just how this can shape other movements. But in short, to just kind of get the further grounding here of this bill is called SB 244, which includes consumer electronics and appliances like phones, laptops, all the way to microwaves and washing machines and drying machines, for people to be able to repair those at the house without having to go through all the hurdles that come from, oh, you're using a copyrighted method. I can't let you do that. It has to be out of my shop and my grounds, which shares a lot with many different acts that are being put into effect, such as the Right to Repair Act in Minnesota that came into circulation and approval 4 months ago. So this is how deep this is going, right to repair, which there is again that boon of not everyone can get a soldering kit, but the effect is there because I get the perspective of how, like, those people that like fixing cars at their house. The same argument goes for people like that. If you're like, oh, you're taking work away from the mechanics, it's like, no, you guys still get the stuff that's out of our reach. Like, I'm not saying they could put like a ground here where it's like, oh, if you need to resolder stuff, you have to go to the Apple shop. I'm saying like, I'm wondering what the extent of this will go, besides what I see loosely here in this article, where, as Apple puts it, as well as their stance, Apple themselves saying, Apple supports California's Right to Repair Act so all Californians have even greater access to repairs, while also protecting their safety, security, and privacy. As we create our products to last, and if they ever need to be repaired, Apple customers have a growing range of safe, high-quality repair options. Now, that being said, I wonder if Apple will pull a 180 again to say, oh, we're good with right to repair, but you have to buy the tools from us. Something like that, like twist it a little bit.
Oh,
Like,
I
oh,
can
you want
definitely
the,
see them doing
you
that.
want the, you want the, you want the, you need a solder thing? No, get the eye soldering iron.
Yeah. Oh, a soldering iron is pretty easy to produce.
It's only $99. Get a soldering iron from Apple Store.
I
In
mean,
your
what
local
features
mall.
would it have that like
Glow in the dark.
doesn't come with a with another soldering iron? All it does is
Bluetooth.
heat up the solder so you can replace parts or
Oh,
add new
I got
ones.
it. It heats up by connecting Bluetooth from your phone to it.
So. Controlled via phone.
I can see that happening.
That's
And this
hilarious.
is
I love it.
again, this is I'm not jokes aside. Apple is a big company to say this stance as their nearly $3 trillion company that has been in California since the mid '70s, made it its base of operations in the state. And with 14 other bills and crux of this, and 14 other states, it's saying something. Even as far back as the Digital Fair Repair Act that we covered a few months back, or even a year ago, that New York Governor Kathy Hochul put into circulation, which requires original equipment manufacturers to make diagnostic and repair information for digital parts available for independent repair providers and consumers. And then some with how we'll look at this one as well as the other stories like we previously mentioned going forward, especially this right to repair one, because this is huge. Apple actually admitting we need people to repair their stuff independently. But again, I'm skeptical because I definitely see them going to the route of you have to get the tools from us. Don't get them at like Micro Center though, guys. But
No, it's definitely something to keep our eye on.
it's something to keep our eye on, especially with something as important as right to repair that we're passionate about, the two of us here on this podcast. And our last story is on the lighter side of things. No more AI, no more companies that are $3 trillion. We're going back to something more grounded here. And I saw this story just at the beginning of this week here on the pod. The voice of Mario is stepping away from doing any more work with the character. This man has been doing this work for over 25 years. Charles Martinet. How much have you played of Mario, Mike?
You know what? Sad to say, I haven't played as much as I would like. I played like the original black and white. I guess it was in black and white, like the original Game Boy before even color came out. Like the big thing, the thing that like was super huge, was thick. It was like green. I think it was like green and white, kind of. What the screen was,
Yeah.
and it was the one where Mario like chases Donkey Kong to save Princess Peach, like up those like ladders and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's what I played. That was like my first game, and then I had like Pokemon after that. But like after that, I didn't really get into any of the other Mario's. What about you?
Because
Did you play a lot of Mario?
my first game wasn't even the original Mario. My first Mario game was Mario Super Sluggers, where he plays baseball. which has this guy voicing him. But yeah, I never played the original game because I'm in my mid-20s and I don't have access to getting a console from the 80s in my trajectory here. But yeah, 25 years Charles Martinet has done this role of Mario, the plumber, Jumpman, as he was originally called. He used to be called Jumpman. But it was made public by Nintendo roughly a week ago today, and in announcing that Charles is now moving to a brand new role of what is called Mario Ambassador, as he's stepping away from recording character voices for games, and that while he's not doing the role anymore, it is saying something that they announced this ahead of a Nintendo Direct, where they probably got loads of people clamming over who the next voice of Mario is, who practically saved the gaming business back in the 80s, because while the economic depression of 29 was devastating, the video game depression of 81, 82 was horrendous. It was actually something I low-key studied back in college. This was right when people were like, I don't like Pong anymore. There's nothing distinct. All this is starting to get old. And people thought video games were already out of the window already, after like less than a decade of being in the spotlight. And it was Jumpman / Mario that brought it all full circle, resurrecting the video game ethos, so to speak, into commercialized success and to what gaming is right now. But yeah, this is just incredible because I played Mario games. I played Mario playing soccer, baseball at the Olympics. Those games where he plays against Sonic at the Olympic Games. I played those games on my Wii. God, what a time that was. I played it on my Nintendo Wii, where you had to get up and move. And Mario would move with you and say noises like, Wahoo! Or whatever. Yahoo! Or whatever. My
I
sister
feel like
even
there's
met
a
this
real
guy.
future in games that provide rewards for movement. I just don't think it's fully adopted yet.
Yeah, I mean, let it be known again, Nintendo Wii was the highest selling console of the Generation 8 back in the late 2000s, which on paper, people that are into the other consoles like, I can't believe that. How'd they do that? When Nintendo literally bookmarked Mario as the flagship of the Wii so that people can buy the Nintendo Wii as well as the family aspect of Nintendo Wii. Like, why get one console that only one guy can play when you can get a Wii so that a whole family can get it? And that sooner or later, those kids and those parents that want a Wii for themselves so they can play will get another Wii. It was genius. Marketing it towards families that PlayStation, Xbox were left with their hands in their pockets, going like, we're losing to this. Why is Nintendo winning? Is it because of motion controls? Oh, I don't know. It's probably because of motion controls, not the whole family market thing. So then they tried motion controls and it bombed, killing motion gaming for. Well, to this day, there's no motion games out besides what could be
Kind of
in
makes me
VR.
sad. It kind of makes me sad though. I feel like, especially when they come up with like a Star Wars game where you used the Wii controller as like a lightsaber.
Yeah,
Like
that
I
was
feel like,
Force Unleashed.
yeah, I feel like that was a good game to get that industry started, like a good push. And I think there was also like a theme park. I think you told me about this. The theme park where was it you or someone else? I can't remember. Where like they
There's the
were.
Nintendo Land.
It's not the Nintendo. It's some off brand, but like where like the whole park is like a video game.
Oh, I think we even covered it on here back in season 1.
We might have, but yeah, I feel like that was a cool direction. I'm sad to see it didn't take off.
I know, because there were a whole on paper. What gamer would buy the Wii? Like a gamer that likes like action games and stuff. Who would buy the Wii? But
it wasn't a serious console. It was more of a family console.
It was a family console, and that's why it won commercially. But it's looked back on as like a bad one. But in my eyes, it's like it was a proponent of what got me into gaming in the first place, at least as a regular habit back when I was little. And the flagship of that drive, much like other kids at that time period, was Mario playing baseball. Yep. Or Mario doing something random like playing soccer. Mario partying. Wasn't there
like Mario Tennis or whatever?
Mario like Power Tennis. Sports. It was like Mario Power Tennis, Mario partying with his friends. Families love playing Mario Party. Even the more obscure titles like Mario Going Back in Time. That was like on the SNES, I think. Him going back in time, he'd like teach you history lessons. Like that was something. But yeah, just kind of to wrap this all together. Charles Martinet left a great legacy, and my older sister, actually met him last year at a convention.
Oh, right on.
Signed a Funko Pop. And now that I see this, I can imagine a lot of people are starting to regret not going to those conventions where Charles was there. And then some, but leave the memories alone, guys. Mario is still going to be active. A Super Mario Brothers game called Wonder is coming out soon with a new Mario, and his legacy will always be remembered. He's not dead. He's just... I can see his importance in a lot of people's lives. So, anyway, with that being said, that is our show, everyone. If you like what we covered here today, feel free to give us a like, a share, a comment. Reach out to us to look out for our Patreon as well if you want to support what we do here, as we try to cover the best of the best in tech news that gets ignored by the mainstream media because of other commitments or maybe other things, lobbying. But yeah, that is our show. Thank you for joining me, Mike.
Yeah, happy to be here. I want to thank the listeners for joining us, and I want to remind them to stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant, everyone.